Like to call to order the Alton Area School Board meeting this November 8th at 7:07 p.m. If everyone could stand for a moment of silence and pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Could we have roll call, please?
Mrs. Bream,
Here.
Mr. Johnston, Mr. Francis, Mr. Cruz, Mr. Hoover, Mrs. Irwin Adams, Dr. Malloy,
Here.
Mr. Hoff, Mrs. McGinnis.
Thank you. We had an executive session at 6 p.m. this evening for purposes of personnel. I'm sorry. And tonight we have a special presentation to Haley Frontino, who's an Alton High School student senior.
Good evening. It is my pleasure to introduce Haley to you this evening. But before I do, I just want to mention on your place settings, you don't get a meal tonight, but we have placemats that were done by our elementary students, and they were specifically made for the retiree dinner. We had some left over. We wanted to share the holiday spirit with you. So feel free to take those home. All of the extra ones will be given to Blair Senior Services food program that the shut-in program that they do, and Penn Lincoln is also providing placemats for that program. But tonight, like I said, it's my honor to introduce to you one of our seniors here at the Alton Area High School, Haley Frontino. And I'm going to just read to you what Jenith Leal, who is the Director, Pennsylvania School for Excellence in the Agricultural Sciences, wrote to Mr. Neely about Haley. And this will give you a little idea of what she's going to present here tonight. During this summer, Haley Frontino, a senior at our high school, participated in the Pennsylvania School for Excellence in the Agricultural Science Program 2021, formerly a governor's school at Penn State. With a competitive application process, the program is designed to provide rising senior high school students an expansive overview of the diverse fields of agricultural science and natural resources in the university setting. Haley attended core agricultural and environmental courses, researched a topic related to insecurity in a targeted country as part of the World Food Prize Foundation. In the research paper entitled Malnutrition in Madagascar, Haley examined malnutrition issues related to food insecurity in Madagascar. She presented her findings and proposed solutions during the Pennsylvania Youth Institute in July 2021, and was not only awarded as a Borlaug Scholar, but also was selected to represent the Pennsylvania Youth Institute at the World Food Prize Foundation's Global Youth Institute. Typically, this would require travel to Des Moines, Iowa, to participate in the Global Youth Institute, but due to ongoing pandemic impact, Haley participated in the program virtually. So here to tell us a little bit about what her research paper was, the program, and the experience that she had is Ms. Frontino.
Hello, everyone. Before I begin my presentation, I'd like to thank all of you and all of the principals and my teachers who allowed me to do this program, the Global Youth Institute, because that was in October and was a week-long experience for me. I have a few notes. I was the first student from Altoona Area High School to be a part of any program of the Pennsylvania School for Excellence in the Agricultural Sciences, the Pennsylvania Youth Institute, and the Global Youth Institute. The Pennsylvania School for Excellence Sciences, also known as PCs, is a 4-week agricultural-based program, as the letter from Jenith Leal has explained. I experienced a lot of learning and college courses like horticulture, soil science, and other courses related to cattle and horses and learned about PSU's college courses as such. And because I was in the PC's program, to be a part of that, you also had to do the Pennsylvania Youth Institute. And for that, I did my research paper on malnutrition in Madagascar. And from that, I was deemed a Borlaug Scholar. And this is an honor named after Norman Borlaug, who was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for his work addressing world hunger. He saved over 1 billion people in the world. I was chosen to be a delegate for the Global Youth Institute. And this is a sister program of the Pennsylvania Youth Institute. And it involves researchers and world leaders working on addressing food insecurity around the world. I was fortunate enough to be one of the approximately 200 high school students from around the world participating this year. Normally, I would have gone to Des Moines, but unfortunately I was not because of COVID. So they sent me a conference in the box, which included many things, such as different food items like cricket bars, sardines, and basil from the UN, as well as books and informational packets on the different topics. I will now give you a little insight into my research paper. Madagascar is an economically developing country in Africa, and 2/3 of the population are in poverty. In addition to significant poverty, other factors that impact food security in Madagascar are extreme weather conditions, difficult terrain, lack of clean, safe water, land erosion, lack of infrastructure, and lack of nutrient-rich crops. Most farmers in Madagascar practice subsistence farming, which is growing the crops to meet the needs of their families. It is estimated that 3/4 of the farming households lack sufficient food to feed their families. While a number of crops are grown in Madagascar, they are not always available due to cost, poor crop production, and lack of access in rural areas. A major part of my paper was to develop solutions to address this country's problem with food insecurity and malnutrition. My proposed solutions focused on farming techniques to address the climate change and difficult terrain in conjunction with technologies to fortify the nutritional quality of crops. I proposed a combination of biotechnology and biofortification. Biofortification involves making plants more nutritious as they are growing rather than adding nutrients during the food processing and production, and can be achieved through genetic engineering or conventional selective breeding of crops. A focus would be on the nutrients such as vitamin A, iodine, zinc, and iron, which are the most lacking in the Malagasy diet. I also proposed the use of water filtration systems that not only filter out bacteria, but also could be enhanced with micronutrients, similar to fortified waters that are so popular. To address climate and land erosion issues, my solution included a number of techniques, including polyculture, contour and terrace farming, and cover crops. As a result of my participation in this program, I'm eligible to apply for the Borlaug Brown International Internship, which would give me the opportunity to work with world-renowned scientists and policymakers at leading research centers around the world that are addressing world hunger. This program will also enable me to take advantage of other internships with the United States Department of Agriculture. I plan to continue work in this field as I pursue my studies in plant sciences and genetic engineering at Penn State. I would strongly recommend other Altoona High School students to become involved in the College of Excellence at Penn State, as it has been very rewarding. Thank you.
Did you hear the cricket bar? Did you hear the cricket bar?
No, I think
At this time, the administration would like to thank Mr. Ed Cruz and Mr. Rick Hoover for their service this past 4 years on the Altoona Area School Board. Each board member will receive their own casting of the Altoona mountain lion with a plate on it designating their name and their years of service on the board. And again, to Mr. Cruz, to Mr. Hoover, on behalf of the administration, I say thank you.
Okay, now we're going to move on to hearing from citizens. I have two people that have signed up to speak. Were there any that signed up this evening? So there's three? Just two. Oh, you have them on here. Okay, thank you. Okay, we're going to start with Scott Feaster. He's going to discuss education and our children. And if you would hold it to 5 minutes, please.
Hello. First, I want to appreciate everyone's time for being here. Last time I was at the meetings, the parents got chastised for theater because they were calling out everyone for wearing their masks improperly and unable to hear anyone. Just pointing that out. My daughter, bluntly, I'm sorry to run in a circle here, but the last meeting I was at, I came down with COVID and then my youngest as well. When we were getting better, my wife came down with it. So you can expect the window of quarantine. My children missed school a little bit there. With that said, before quarantine, before all this, my youngest child was mask exempt. I believe because of HIPAA, I never had to explain it to anybody because it was no one's business. And anyone that's watching this meeting can make fun of my daughter now because I'm going to speak of it. So I want to appreciate everyone for not doing their jobs. My child has terrible migraines. This is before COVID even started. When the mask started getting pushed, she was at the point where she cries every single night. She can't take it. Now, before she got sick just recently, I had the mask exemption. There was no issue that I was aware of. I come back, next thing I'm told is, unless there's a doctor's note, she has to wear it. So I'd like to understand this. Now, if anyone would like to see, I have, as of November 2nd, the doctor showing about her migraines and such. It's all here on paper. Does that matter? Or are you going to still force it on her face? I shouldn't be here asking.
If you sign the district.
I did. And that was junior high. The first time I signed them, pardon me again, when you rushed the meeting on us on a Friday night to come on a Tuesday, because that following Monday was a vacation for everybody. So I had to go through email with my doctor to get the right, to get papers to void it. The junior high said, this isn't acceptable, gave my daughter a headache about it. Meanwhile, the senior high says, everything's acceptable, not a problem.
Everyone was given a 10-day window after the initial meeting. Everyone was.
Yeah, and I signed everything possible. I did all
Did
I
you
could.
provide a medical excuse within that 10 days then?
Yes. And again, right here's my paperwork again that I can show you. If you would like to see it, I can pass around to everybody.
I'll check with the administration tomorrow and I'll call you.
I've called in many times, but I'm told unless I have a doctor's signature, that's it. So, and also, again, if we're going to play this double standard hypocrite, last month on the 26th, you can go on to the Altoona School social media pages. Your gyms are packed, no masks in sight, but you're going to tell kids to mask in classes. We're talking indoor gym, not outside, and the gym's just packed completely.
During physical activity, masks are not required or recommended.
During a game when they're not playing, everyone's just sitting there in the stands. This is in the stands. We're not talking people playing. We're talking to people in the stands, just sitting, packed in, no mask.
Masks are required and provided
I
if
didn't see
necessary.
them. You can look on your website yourself. So the hypocrisy is right in front of everybody. I'm not trying to be ignorant, but literally when you're making my daughter get sick and I'm showing you paperwork, why? But yet you can see the general public just smashed into it and it's not a problem. Then I have an issue. I checked in the charter schools. Is this how I should go? Should I pull my children out of the school? Because their health and their education is more important to me than a piece of cloth on there. It also does is gather fabric. And it also does is gather bacteria and get people sick and hold on.
If you want to provide me with whatever documentation you have, I'll look into it first thing tomorrow and call you.
Should I pass it on so everyone sees it? So there's not a problem. Not just one person saw it. Y'all can say, yes, I see it.
If I can have it, I will get it back to you.
All right.
I have his phone number here on the list if you need that.
That's not it. I apologize. I'm not trying to be a headache to anybody, but again, when I speak up numerous times, and I promise you, I've made my phone calls and I've just been laughed at. That ain't right. I treat everyone with the same respect given. And again, when y'all came to us, you couldn't even talk to us without your mask. You had to fidget, take them off. And that's why we were clapping at you. Because you expect the children to do exactly what you once couldn't. Y'all have a good night.
Okay, thank you. Our next speaker is Janelle Yurdy.
Hello, my name is Janelle Yurdy. I've been in front of you before, and I'm here to talk about the same issue that I have in the past. My children attend Altoona Area School District. I am a resident taxpayer. I echo the same sentiment that I have before. However, I'd like to recap my understanding of the situation. And in September, we met and talked for hours about this issue with this school board. I truly believe that what was touted as a compromise among these board members was a decision that was made behind closed doors in preparation for an election in November. And I hope my saying so makes you feel uncomfortable, because I'm uncomfortable about this situation. After that meeting, it is clear that the decisions for families to choose to wear a mask at school or not has become a non-issue. It has not been on the agenda. No one has discussed it during board meetings. You feel that this compromise is working and we should move on. There are some of us that feel that it is worth it to get up here in front of you. I'm uncomfortable being in front of you. I know many of you, I don't want to be here, but if people do not continue to stand up and talk about this issue, the fact that a decision to mask a child should be with that family, we are going to continue the status quo. There are children in third grade right now who have received one normal year of elementary. They've gone to kindergarten. They had a half of first grade. They had a lackadaisical second grade because they were in and out of virtual, a third grade where they've been taught to, behind masks, wearing a mask. They have 2 more years in elementary before they are on to junior high. Picture yourselves in that situation. What type of education are you giving these children that is consistently inconsistent? Bring some social normacy by giving the families a chance to not wear a mask if they choose to do so. You have chosen to follow advice from a state official that is a lawyer, Allison Beam. She is not a medical doctor. You have chosen to follow advice from your solicitor, who is also a lawyer, not a medical doctor. These two individuals are also not parents of children in your district. You have taken away this freedom of choice, and it has occurred long enough. Lawyers advise upon the law, and in this case, this is a mandate. And because it is a mandate, they are advising you against risk. And I'm honestly not clear if the risk of financial, or if the risk is to school board members, or the risk is to administration. It's not clear to me, but you are not doing your job to get down to determine what is the risk and who is choosing to not accept it. And the fact is, the risk is zero. It is statistically zero. According to the American Academy of Pediatrics, the mortality rate in children aged in this state of Pennsylvania is 0.007%. That is equivalent to 0.4 zeros and then a 7. That's the mortality rate of COVID among school children. In your own schools, that is essentially zero. It is essentially zero. There has been close to 270,000 confirmed cases in this state. There have been 19 mortalities attributed to children, and those mortalities, you can look further into those. This is data science, okay? That statistical number is zero. In your own COVID-19 dashboard, a mere 4% of your students have tested positive since the school year began. Clearly, your schools have been able to open and function and provide educational resources to your students. There is no need for you to make a decision that is medical for these children. It should be up to the family. Just today, the governor's office issued an update that they foresee to turn the mask decision back to schools by January. That mandate wasn't legally enforceable, and they knew it, and they plan to remove it. They claimed that the mandate was in place so that schools could open. And in the midst of cold and flu season, in the midst of surge, when we saw cases last January, they say, you know what? You schools can do it now. We'll give it back to you. This is a way for them to flex their muscles, and it is time to stop. You must stand up, you must revert this decision, and it must go back to the families to decide to mask their children. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so moving on. We have minutes from the 9/7
Mrs.
meeting.
Breen, we did have one sign in.
Oh, there was a third
Yes,
one?
ma'am.
Two more,
Two more.
okay. I don't have their names on here. If you would state your name.
Kelly Bowers. I came to talk because I have the Issues Not in the School District page. And I've had some parents reach out to me because of the lockdown the other day. The kids were locked outside at the VOTAC and such. And I was just curious, if those places are locked down, what are those kids supposed to do? Because from what the kids told the parents, they were told just basically to hide. Like, that's not a safe situation. And they didn't know, these kids didn't know that the junior high and high school wasn't locked down. They were just outside the VOTAC. And one parent reached out and said that school security was standing at the doors waving them off. Like, that's not right. The other thing is, I do have the Issues Not in the School District, which caused a little bit of a stir here to junior high. I want to clearly state that if a teacher, parent, student reaches out to me with an issue, I'm going to post it. If it's anonymous, it's anonymous. I ain't telling you who posted it. So don't ask me who posted it. There's no need to have special meetings and such like that to try and get the teachers to whatever. I run that page and it helps the district more than it hurts the district, to be honest with you. And a lot of parents don't know how to go about getting the help that they're seeking, because no matter how much I say to the district, hey, maybe you guys should put this information on your page so parents can find it more readily and easily, it doesn't show up there. So the parents' recourse is to come to me and be like, hey, what should I do? Or, hey, can you post this so it gets some attention? So I appreciate the working relationship that I have with the district and the administration in the district and the teachers in the district and everything. But when parents come to y'all and say, hey, we can't find this information, it might be a good idea to put it out there so it's readily available, especially special education information, stuff like that. Like, I still have problems navigating y'all's website. And whenever you come to the mobile version, it's absolutely horrible. I don't use laptops. I use my cell phone, and a lot of other parents do. If you guys could please update that so it's more mobile friendly also, that would be greatly appreciated.
Thank you. If you would state your name.
My name is Crystal Oakes. So I just wanted to touch on a few things. Number one, I kind of disagree with your statement in regards to that you guys opened up to give the students education. Two of my children, your students, I've counted today with them. They've had at least 8 teachers between the two of them in just 2 months. I mean, to me, that's not providing education. I mean, I don't understand how a student is supposed to receive an education when they're constantly getting a different teacher. I mean, every day, every other day. And that's just 2 of my children. I have 6 in your district. And I know my other children have had sub after sub after sub after sub. So again, I don't see how you guys are providing top-notch education. My second concern is the backpacks, the clear backpacks. Again, 2 of my children, I've gone through 3 clear backpacks. When I tell them that I do not have the money to immediately run out and go buy them a backpack, to bring a regular backpack that I have, that they've had from previous years that have lasted them years through the school, they're told that they will have to remove their items from their backpack and leave the backpack in the office and carry their items. I do also understand that some students carry more items than other students, but any child who chooses to carry their books and have them be ready and prepared with multiple items, or, I've raised my kids to be prepared and prepare for the worst and not be prepared at all. So whether my kids' backpacks are heavier than others, I shouldn't have to be running out and buying backpacks every week because these clear backpacks are breaking. And finally, in regards to the masks, I just implore you all to call a vote again to remove the masks and make them optional. It's absurd. I mean, if they work so great, then you wouldn't have had classes quarantined already. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, now moving on. Can I get a motion for minutes from 9/7 and 10/18? Second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Moving on to finance. List of payments. And there are several different lists there. Can I have a motion and a second?
Second.
Okay, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Education. Affiliation agreement with Grand Canyon University. Volunteer approval. AAHS World Language Branch Trip, June of 2023. AAJHS 2022 Summer School Proposal. Comprehensive Plan. Can I have a motion and a second for that?
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Moving on, temporary daily substitute rate change for 2021-22 school year. ARP homeless grant. Secondary magnet proposal. And secondary field trips. Can I have a motion and a second?
Can I ask a question before I move that?
Regarding what I
Or
just
do we
read?
have to move it? It's on what we're talking about. It's on
We
the
will need a
rate
motion
change.
and a second, then we'll open it up.
Okay, motion.
Okay, now any comments or questions?
All right, I have, we're talking about increasing the rate for substitutes, correct?
That is one of the proposals, yes.
Could I ask the superintendent why we need to increase that at this time?
We're attempting to recruit and retain more subs. Our fill rates have been 50 to 60%. Our peak has been in the 60s. Past 2 years prior, our fill rates were in the 90s. Quite simply, we need to recruit subs. There's a definite teacher and sub shortage. And so this is an attempt to make it more appealing and get people to commit to larger numbers of days.
All right, so basically we're facing the same thing every other school district is facing, which is a substitute problem with getting substitutes in our school.
Yes.
Okay, I'll talk on that later. Thank you.
I have a question. How many homeless children do we have in our school district?
It resets from year to year. Last year, we got the RP homeless grant. Our total number was in the low 200s. We are by far the most in our region. We currently have 86 in the school district. That number will continue to increase. The number of students that we are seeing that are unaccompanied youth that are registering are increasing, and we're seeing those on a very regular basis.
And I just asked that because I think many people don't know how large the situation is, and how many homeless children we actually deal with.
Our grant award was based on the number of students that we've reported in the 1920 and 21 school year. And it was very significant. Like I said, it's the highest in our region.
Okay, I have a question on the secondary magnet proposal. This is going to be another alternative to being in the classroom every day at the high school, junior high school?
It will be an in-person option. It's an alternative to current traditional setting schooling for 6th to 12th grade students. It will be run out of our Stevens building and run side by side with our Kimmel alternative program, not requiring any increase in staff. We will dual purpose and utilize our instructional staff and support staff at that building. It is another option for education that is more flexible, more individualized for students where traditional learning options at this point, they're being unsuccessful. And so it is more of an individualized program, unique for individual students. It will have a community service component. It will also have the ability to have academic programming that is more individualized to the individual student, but also give them the opportunity to have daily counseling, mental health counseling, drug and alcohol counseling if necessary, while still getting in-person learning.
Now, is this because of COVID that we have students that are struggling in the normal school setting?
I think we've definitely seen an uptick, an increase in mental health and with school anxiety and with students that are struggling in a traditional school setting, struggling either reacclimating to in-person learning, but we also want to have options that meet the needs of all of our students. So it does give us another layer of support that we can add for students. It also gives them an individualized educational plan that is an at-risk dropout prevention. What can we do to get students to the finish line outcome?
So this is to be looked at as a temporary situation for the child, and they will be incorporated back into the classroom?
It's not, we don't refer. It is a discussion with parent and student, and it's an opportunity that they elect to choose. Obviously, they would have the ability to move in and out of that program. We'd encourage them to be there for a minimum of 1 semester. And then we would have transitional points at the end, at the beginning of the year and at the semester change in January.
Okay, so when they get caught up to where they need to be for their age and their grade level, they would return to the classroom.
Well, if they want to, I mean, this may be an option that long-term is the best option for them educationally. It will provide them the opportunity to do school to career in the community. It'll provide them with the opportunity to do CTC plus more specific academic programming that meets their individual needs. So we could have hybrid scheduling where they have some in-person and some cyber-based instruction, but also have community-based instruction that may fit their needs and their educational outcomes better.
Do you have a number of approximately how many students will qualify for this?
We would set our maximum at this point at 50 students. We currently have 2 students enrolled in our alternative education program, which has not been running for over a year and a half now. So from an instructional standpoint, we have the staff available and ready at the Stevens building to be able to meet these needs. And it will depend largely on student needs and what their desired outcomes are. We could target students that are having attendance issues. We could target students that are having, disciplinary issues, or just students that the traditional setting is not working for them and they're looking for an alternative to a traditional day, to a traditional come in the morning, stay 8 periods and go home at the end of the day. Something that's a little bit more flexible and a little bit more individualized to meet their individual needs.
And they will be in the classroom with the Kimmel students?
They will have a separate schedule to be taught by the same teachers, but they will be they'll have separate classes. So there'll be a high school English for Kimmel students. There'll be a high school English for students in this program.
Okay,
And we can schedule that.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, can I get back to the homeless? I didn't realize, but I know they have shelters to go to at night, correct?
So it's kind of unique because if students turn 18, they cannot access the teen shelter right over here on
Right.
17th Street. When they do go there, we do have to involve Blair County Children and Youth Services. What we're finding is that there's a lot of doubled up families. There's a lot of families that are displaced temporarily. There's a lot of families that don't have permanent housing. So they are very transient. They're staying with friends, a couple weeks at a time, and then they're going somewhere else where they're welcome. We have students staying in hotels. We do have various abuse shelters and different things in the area where sometimes families move in, but when they have large numbers of students in their families, it becomes a challenge to be able to house that many. Every situation is unique. Every situation is different. We have students that could not be placed in a foster home, so they are considered unaccompanied. They may be living in a group home that's run by CYF. So we have a variety of different scenarios and situations. A lot of the times we have move-ins that are with someone who is not their guardian. So they're living with a brother, they're living with someone else, and until they can get guardianship for that student, they are considered unaccompanied and they are experiencing homelessness, which what you would think of as traditionally as homeless, they're not living on the streets, but they are experiencing homelessness. And as a result of that, they have very many challenges. And we have a mechanism in place to support them with educational materials, food, clothing, hygiene needs, backpack, whatever their needs are, we have the ability and the responsibility to support them.
Do we give that, like, I know there's special needs you give to them, I understand, but you know, they need something a little bit more. Is there anything that the community can do to help pitch in with this? I was amazed by how many we had. I didn't realize we had that many kids.
One of the pieces of this and part of this grant is actually having someone who can be a case manager for those students that can help them access all the community resources that are at their disposal as well. So we're talking mental health services, nursing services, doctor services, food banks, whatever their needs are, winter coat needs, shelter needs. We've put students up and families up in hotels temporarily until community action can get involved, until we can. Our biggest challenge, honestly, is with our 18 and up students, because they don't qualify for any of the under 18 services. So finding them services is very difficult. I know the city's working on that as well.
How many 18 and ups do we have? You have any idea?
I couldn't tell you for sure right now, but I know that it's increasing. The numbers of students that we're seeing in that upper bracket, kids that are seniors, that are just displaced, they had conflict with their family, they're not living at home, they're on their own, they're with a friend, whatever it may be, that number is increasing. We hear a lot, well, I got thrown out of my house for whatever that reason may be. We have to be able to support that student, hopefully get them to graduation.
The thing I'm worried about, the youngster, I'm not worried about all of them, but the elementary kids, if they're going to learn, they're going to learn in elementary the first few years. And do we have some sort of mechanism that we can help these kids? I know you have special tutors, but is there anything we can do above and beyond that to help these kids?
So they all qualify under what's called McKinney-Vento. So if they want to go to like a summer camp or a summer club or a basketball camp, we will fund all of that. So we want to make sure they have all of the same opportunities that any other student would have. Our biggest challenge is identification. There is a little bit of a stigma in the community to be identified as experiencing homelessness. And, obviously it's important to make sure that we've identified as many students as we can and families that we can help to help make sure that they're getting everything that they need. We train all of our counselors and teachers on picking up from conversation, listening, what might be a situation where a student might be experiencing homelessness. And we work very closely. Julie Roberts, my assistant, is amazing at reaching out to families and resources and trying to get them set up with everything that they need.
Yeah, I appreciate all we do, but I know it's a fact of life, but it's so unfair. These kids are out there like that. And I just think that our community owes them something. We should do something for them.
Mm-hmm.
We owe them something. So I don't know if, maybe we get together with some agencies to help these kids and find them an educational help or financial help or mental help, anything that they need. I can't imagine, and I just feel for them because, especially
the biggest thing is identification. I mean, if you know of somebody in the community, contact one of the schools. They'll get a hold of us. I'm our homeless liaison, and we'll reach out to them to do everything that we can to help support their academic, their social, mental health needs. This time of year is important because we want to make sure they have nice holidays.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that they have all the things that that, that every other kid has and it experiences the same thing. And so that they don't feel different, that they feel like every other student.
Yeah, maybe we can come in and let me talk to some other people in the district and maybe get some community people involved. Just seeing kids homeless bothers all of us. Thanks.
Anyone else?
Yes. Dr. Morley, when you brought up about the homeless cases, that was a good question. Your answer was alarming. That's a lot. And if there's anything we can do to help, I know Family Services on Broad Avenue, they accept donations. We've given donations there in the past. That's a sad thing. And say if there's any way we can help. And Mr. Hatch, thank you for explaining how the district helps. Getting back to secondary field trips, the last I checked, the Allegheny Portage Railroad up in Gallitzin, the Horseshoe Curve and the Railroad Museum in town has free field trips, and they even include bus drivers. So that's something that the district wants it's free. So
Anyone else? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I definitely see benefit to the magnet program, but I also strongly implore that we look at something like that for K-5 because it's really needed.
Okay.
I would agree with Stephanie that, I mean, there's such a need if you talk to teachers about students who get their behavior out of control and, it's very difficult and very disruptive, but even if it's training programs for teachers, resources, additional staff, I think whatever we need, we need to look at that for elementary children.
We do have, currently, we are running a therapeutic program at Logan specifically for this clientele, for these kids with these kind of issues. The process just doesn't move as fast as people would like at times. It's not as easy as just saying, Johnny needs to go here or there. You have to go through the process and it takes time. But we have put that together this year. Michelle Sanders and her crew have been making those pieces of the puzzle come together for us. And hopefully when we finish our partnership with Blair Family Services, we're going to be able to really be able to tie the whole thing up properly and make it effective for kids.
Anyone else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. The next item is personnel. Can I have a motion and a second?
Second.
Any questions? Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Business operations, repository bids, Amtran bus drivers, capital reserve list of payments, walk-in freezer bid, parent guardian transportation contract rate increase, capital projects change order, athletic equipment spring. Can I have a motion and a second?
Second.
Okay. Any questions, comments?
Yeah, can you explain the change order for the street light wiring? I saw it was in the facilities meeting, but I'm unclear as to what that's for.
Contractor-driven damages have been handled by the city in coordination with JCOR and with Farfield. In order to get one of the, when we do it, or we have somebody like Farfield do it, it's much less expensive than having the city do it. And Farfield was available, so we assumed that to get it expedited it and to save cash across the board, that's their bill to get that process done. And that will be coordinated with JCOR from an actual billing standpoint.
So are you saying we'll be compensated back for it, or?
Either that, or when we close out, there will be other things that we traded against it.
Okay.
Anyone else? I have a question on the transportation contract rate increase. The IRS rate is 56 cents a mile. Why are we almost doubling that to $1 a mile?
Because the savings to the district if we have two parents decide to transport their children and do it, the savings to the district would be approximately $50,000 for an overhead cost of $7,000 to $8,000. So we're making it a little more attractive with the hopes that we will have more parents who are willing to help us in this transportation situation.
Are we having a problem getting parents to provide the transportation?
This is a way to incentivize to get more of them to agree to do it. Yes. I mean, we run approximately 50 vans a day for special ed reasons across the city.
And how many parents right now are transporting their own out of the?
7 or 8. Am I correct with that number? 3 right now. It was 10 last year.
I think it was just on our agenda within the past 2 months, like how many we're transporting.
Yes.
I feel like it was a little bit higher than 3, but I'm sure you know.
It goes up and down.
If we renewed all of the contracts, then 3 people are currently.
Okay, anyone else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Facilities maintenance. A building roof change order. A and B building alarm systems. Non-destructive testing at Mansion Park. PMEA District 6 Elementary Song Fest. Can I have a motion and a second?
Second.
Questions, comments?
Oh, yes, I have, on the Mansion Park lights, I was out there today, they had a JLG up there, the lights are 35 years old, the poles are 72 years old. We had trouble with the lights burning out, shortening out. The men were up there, they were taking the bulbs out, they're rusted, corroded. The back of the panel, they had like 2 inch of rust there. They have a portable shop vac. They're getting it done, and we're keeping our fingers crossed.
So we're not sure that this is going to fix the problem.
It will at least fix it temporarily, but the situation with the corrosion, et cetera, it's just sheer age.
I got a question. How many more events do we have scheduled out at Mansion Park for the rest of the football season?
Football playoffs go through approximately December 6th, and I'm sure we'll have games.
Yeah, we have both football and soccer playoffs throughout this week. I know we have 3 events this week. 1 weekday, Friday night, Saturday afternoon. So we will continue. We don't find out until the Sunday what the playoff schedule is then. So we'll know on a weekly basis, typically on Sunday when Phil participates in the PIAA meetings, which events that we are able to host and which ones we're
But
not.
usually we are hosting playoffs in
weekend.
some sort through approximately December 6th.
Well, and that's what I was just saying. Obviously, we need the lights up and working, so.
Anyone else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Any reports from committee chair, old business, I'm sorry. Any old business? Any new business? Any reports from committee chairs?
Yes, I'd just like to announce that the Finance Committee meeting scheduled for tomorrow night is canceled.
Anyone else? Okay, superintendent's report.
I want to thank the board for raising the sub rate. Hopefully, we are actively involved in recruiting student teachers. We are hopeful that we will be able to bring them on pretty much the day after they complete student teaching. At this time, I would like to read Student Representative Mackenzie Kelly's report. She is doing this is her final college visit. Is that correct? Yes. Okay. Fall play. Fall play is this weekend, November 12th and 13th. It will start at 7 p.m. And she says, break a leg to all students involved in the school play. Senior survey. A survey was sent out to all seniors. Guidance and high school admin will be arranging specific sessions for seniors based on their responses and needs. Music. Our music students are now preparing for their holiday concerts. December 10th is the chorus and orchestra. And December 16th, the jazz band and wind ensemble will hold their concert. Finally, on December 17th, the winter showcase will be held for all advanced theater students. The CNC lab. The new Haas milling machine is now up and running in the CNC lab. This machine will allow our tech ed robotics students to now design and fabricate their own parts for manufacturing. Also, we are entered into a partnership to extend on this with Blair Companies, and we are doing interviews for internships over at Blair Companies for students and that will be for part-time work for the remainder of the school year, and also for summer internships, which will be full-time work. So I want to thank Mr. DeVoris and his company for creating that option for our students. National Honor Society, we recently inducted 52 students into the Altoona chapter of the National Honor Society. Congratulations to all inductees. Student Council once again did an outstanding job raising money for another charity. In October, the Student Council sold breast cancer awareness pins. Money from this fundraiser will be donated to Altoona UPMC for Life. New mural. The new mural is being painted to illuminate the main entrance. Art teacher Catherine Curry is working with 2 classes of students and an art advisor, Deb Dunnell, to create their large mural. I'd like to thank the AASD Foundation and Southern Allegheny Museum for Art for sponsoring the mural. Red Ribbon Week. Students Against Destructive Decisions organized Red Ribbon Week for the last week of October. During lunch, students signed red chain links and pledged to be drug-free. Finally, fall sports and winter sports. Most fall sports have begun, their seasons have come to an end. Girls soccer won their 3rd consecutive District 6 championship game against Mifflin County. Our boys and girls cross country team both took 2nd place at their District 6 championships. Individually, we had 4 runners qualify for the PIAA state meet. Seniors Aiden Kelly, George Butiller, Mackenzie Kelly, and junior Reese Wilbur. Senior Mackenzie Kelly was able to qualify for her 4th time to the state meet, which is the first time we have had an individual for the girls team qualify all 4 years in a row since 2011. Congratulations, Mackenzie Kelly. We want to extend our congratulations to all fall sports that concluded their seasons. Congratulations to our football team, girls and boys soccer, girls volleyball, girls tennis, boys and girls golf, and boys and girls cross country. Winter sports, just a note, athletes are beginning to prepare for winter sports. If you have any questions about schedules and or physicals, etc. for winter sports, please contact the athletic office. And her final note was go Mountain Lions. Thank you to Mackenzie. What?
Does the report a lot better.
No question. But thank you. I'll continue to work on that.
Thank you. Okay, moving on. For information only, we have Facilities Committee meeting summaries for August the 12th and September the 16th, and Technology Committee summary for October the 21st. Is anyone here from the Employees Union? No response. Middle management and our solicitor.
Sure. Even though for the first time in 2.5 months, we have like an exit strategy from Governor Wolf and on the mask issue, we're still hoping that Commonwealth Court deals with the 2 cases that were brought before, simply because when you get to January, something else could change, and it would be nice for the court to weigh in once and for all as it relates to the acting Department of Health Secretary's ability to put the masking order in effect. The other issue that's come down, as you can see, that President Biden had outlined that any employer with 100 more employees had to get mandatory vaccines. There are about 26 states across the nation that will be impacted as it relates to school employees. The hook and a lot of these other places, college and universities, is all the federal contracts and how deep that runs. But here in Pennsylvania, because we don't have a direct tie to OSHA, there is no requirement to force any employer with 100 or more, and particularly school districts, since they're not covered by OSHA. There could be no mandatory vaccine imposed, at least from the federal level. The other issue they failed to take into play is everything that's unfolding in every other state with the courts and the unions and employees, how that unfolds. So it'll be, let's wait and see how it goes. But right now, we have no mandatory vaccine, requirement for PA schools at this point.
Can I add, are we about to end?
We are going to end, yes.
Well, hold on. You know what? I got on this board 4 years ago. When I ran for this position, I thought I had an idea of what it took to run a school district. I thought I had an idea of how much work our teachers and all our educators do. I found out after 4 years, I have no idea. I had no idea the amount of work our teachers, our SEAs, hell, our custodians, our police, our administration. I had no idea it was what it was. And I also want everyone to pay attention. In the next couple of years, there's going to be a truth bomb dropped on everybody. The truth bomb is this: our nation is facing a severe teacher shortage. As the AP reported in September, there are 30% less educators going into education. 30%. That means 30% less teachers coming out of college. And they cite the reasons why. And obviously, I've been seeing those issues for 4 years. We have a lot of 28% of teachers who are sitting today are saying that they're not going to be in this job in 1.5 to 2 years. So you have 30% of teachers, almost 30% getting ready to get out of this field. And you have 30% not in school anymore, so that's a shortage. We see this every week. I ask this question: where are we at with teachers? Where are we at with SCAs? And I point this out time and time again. Today, the number was, I believe we're down 30 SCAs, correct, Brad?
We have 105 current SCAs. We interviewed 9 last week, and that still puts us about 30 short.
So we can put a pretty face on this, ladies and gentlemen, but in about 1.5 years, we're going to be facing something that we've never faced before in the field of education. We're not having people go in this field for many reasons. And one of those reasons is pay, believe it or not. Teachers go in, they get an education. The people that are going to school with them in other fields, they get their bachelor's degree or their master's, just like our teachers do. And the teachers make 60 cents on the dollar to what their colleagues are making. You add into that all the extra duties that we put on our teachers, class sizes. They have to be nurses, they have to be social workers. They have to be a helping hand to the administration when it comes to issues like security. And I am here to tell you, after 4 years of seeing this, I understand totally why we are going to face a shortage of teachers. And my heart goes out to the teachers who are trying to do the right thing and just being hammered and hammered and hammered every single day. My respect for this profession went up immensely over my 4 years. I appreciate everything people did at this table. I appreciate the administrator, the janitors who have dealt with COVID, these deep cleaning things. I can't fathom how much work that is. But once again, guys, in a couple of years, we're going to be facing a serious situation that you're all going to have to deal with. Let's start respecting and treating our teachers appropriately, and let's start paying them what they're worth. That's all.
Anyone else?
Sharon, could I say something?
Yes.
Dr. Priatel, could you present my mountain lion to Dan Casey and have him bring it to me?
Absolutely. I'll make sure Dan brings it to you.
He'll keep it.
Anyone
You know,
else?
I always said we always we have a non-paying thankless job with no benefits.
Ed, Dan said that's gonna cost you an oil change, just so you know.
That's fine.
Anyone else? Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone. So.